When I was around 20, I thought nothing could defeat me. Youth filled me with inexhaustible energy, and the world looked like a board where I could move the pieces as I wanted. At that time, the money was my greatest idol. To me, he defined the value of a person who had money with someone who did not have, simply did not exist. No one told me this explicitly. It was a conclusion that I took alone, observing the reality around me. My father, for example, spent the whole days in his small workshop, sewing shoes with care and dedication. Each pair was handmade, carefully and even with love. But at the end of the month the salary barely gave to the accounts. I looked at him and thought, he's a good, honest man, but he lives as if he was always on the edge. I don't want it to me. I want more. I want an imported car, a brand clock, impeccable suits. I want people to look at me with admiration. It was an insatiable hunger, my status, for recognition, for all that, in my head. Men having arrived there. I devoured self-help books as if they were the definitive manual for success. I attended courses, training. I worked in 2 jobs at the same time, and in fact, I got it. Shortly after the 30, I already had my own business, a decorated apartment, a zero car in the garage. My wardrobe was organized by colors, and even a tailor-made suit I sent to do impeccable Italian fabric that shone like glass. It looked like I had one. Only, in the midst of so much achievement, something was lost. It was not the financial resources. These, by the way, only increased. What I was sacrificing was much more valuable, my time. And this perception did not suddenly came, like rain in clear heavens. There was no dramatic moment when a voice warned me, stop now, before it's late. Life is more subtle. She is slowly taking things, so slowly that we don't even notice. First, it was some family dinners I stopped attending because I needed to close a business. Then my daughter's birthday was beaten because an important customer set a meeting. Then I started sleeping at 2 in the morning to wake up at 6, convinced that it was necessary, that I was building my future. I thought that later, when he had stability, it would compensate everything, the absences, the hurry, the lost moments. Until one day I looked in the mirror and did not recognize the person I saw reflected. Wrinkles on his face, the spine that rang from each movement, a son who had grown without me noticing, a daughter who married while I, at the party, attended calls of work in the corner of the salon. So I wondered, where was I all this time? Why did I let it escape all this? After all, wasn't it for them that I struggled gradually? I understood that I had exchanged my life for money, not one or another thing. Whole years, days, months, irrecoverable moments, exchanged for notes that, ironically, lost value over time. Meanwhile, life, this one, became increasingly expensive. An old friend, that the land is light, used to tell me, if you wake up in the morning healthy, your family around and with time to enjoy, it's richer than most. The rest are just details. At the time, I laughed, finding that naive. Today, I know he was right. Money we recover, sell a property, change our jobs, find another source of income. But the time, this one, once spent, does not come back. Maybe you are thinking, oh, so is the money bad? Should I drop everything and live like a hermit, reaping fruits and meditating under a tree? No, my friend, that's not what I'm talking about. Money is necessary. No one survives without it. The question is the one who is in control. You are the figures in your account. Ask yourself a sincere question right now. What are you exchanging your life? How much is an hour of your day worth? And a dinner with the children, a conversation with your mother, who doesn't get younger, an unhurried ride, just to feel the wind on your face. Would you be willing to give up this for a larger salary, a promotion that can disappear with an email? I'm not here to judge. I'd also ran after that same dream. I'd also thought later would have time. Only the after never comes. Time runs out, and what remains is memories. Not all good. But there is good news. If you are reading this now, there is still time. You can't go back. Of course, life is not a game in which you can tighten restart, but you can change the course. Just decide what is no longer worth sacrificing. What, in fact, gives meaning to your days. Let's talk about it. Not how to earn more, but about how to live better, about the most valuable currency that exists, which is neither paper nor metal, but seconds, minutes that do not return. Let's talk about how to enjoy life instead of just fulfilling it. Because, deep down, everything is very simple. We are the ones who complicate. We take basic things and turn into mazes. Life is like a day of rest. Only when we stop can we really feel it. Tell me, why do you work? To make money. And what do you want money? To live better. But when, exactly, do you live? On weekends? When is it exhausted? On annual holidays? When can you barely disconnect? Or in those 30 minutes before bed, when there is no energy left for anything but roll the timeline on your phone and empty the refrigerator. Is not living, it is surviving in automatic mode. I'd already thought like that. In my most successful time, I believed that if I tried a little more, there would soon be time to enjoy. Just another year, he said to myself. Just one more project, just one more contract, and then I can relax. I'm going to buy a house in the countryside, read books, travel with my wife, have breakfast looking out the wind through the window. Only life does not expect. My mother suddenly passed away. In the last 10 years, it had not spent a whole week with her. There was always something more urgent. Do you have an idea of the weight of realizing that you let the chance of being with those who love? Then I noticed that my son stopped talking to me, not out of anger, but because we become strange. I only knew how to repeat, study, work, don't waste time, be productive. I never taught him to enjoy life, to rejoice in the little things. I taught him to be efficient as a machine. As I had become myself, I met a man, Moses, who worked 40 years as an accountant in the same factory. He saved every penny, planned every expense, dreaming of the day he could retire and enjoy a little house by a lake, with a balcony and a privileged view. 2 months after retiring, he had a heart attack, then another. When I visited him at the hospital, he looked at me in the eye and said, I spent my whole life ahead of the future, but I ended up postponing death with a little more comfort. Listen well. You think you have time, that you can leave for later, but time does not warn. It goes away, drops the drop, like water in the sand. I am not telling you to abandon everything and go looking for yourself in Tibet. I speak of simple choices. Today, call your parents. Sit with your child without the cell phone around. Embrace your wife carefully, not for habit. Walk a kilometer on foot and feel the air instead of just looking for a Wi-Fi network. This costs nothing except the decision to prioritize. Money is a tool, not a purpose. You can use it to build a house or to sort it out. I saw people with huge fortunes who, sitting in my office, asked me, what is all this for? I have it all, and at the same time I have nothing. And I met a tailor who worked until 80 years, without being rich but happy. Every morning he woke up knowing that he would do something good that day. He would help someone feel good about himself. This, yes, is wealth. Do not confuse movement with progress. Do not confuse success with meaning. Life is not measured by what you accumulate, but for what you live. And that only you can decide. Do not confuse the price of things with their real value. The most precious things in life have no price label: time, love, honesty, peace, understanding, presence. As the Talmud says, if it's not for me, who will it be? But if it's just me, what am I? It is about balance. You can and should work. You must guarantee your livelihood, but you can't let the money become your God. God is life. It is the present moment. It is the now. Learn how to ask yourself, no, how much will I want? But what am I going to live? Not how to survive, but how to really live. Because money you spend, but the memory of the last hug on your father, this one is with you forever. Today, when I am alone, no embrobe of salaries, negotiations, or bank transfers. I remember how I held my son in my arms when he took his first steps, from how my wife and I was salaried together when we had no money for the restaurant, how my mother ran a hand on my head when I fell off the bike. This is my treasure. This is my capital. Now tell me, what will you stay? With you? What are you building, a career or a life? How many hours spent in meetings and how many with oneself? How many forces gave to your boss and how many kept for you? If I could go back, would run less behind status and look more at the sky. I would hear more, feel more, hug more. I'm not telling you to abandon the world. I am saying, do not exchange your soul for gold. Better to be poor outside than poor inside. Remember, money you can lose and recover. Time, never. Life is one, and it is happening now, not on vacation, not in retirement, not then. Now, while you breathe as you hear these words. And if something made sense to you today, maybe it's not late yet. If you got here, you are not just a viewer. You are an interlocutor, someone who is not afraid to think about what really matters. And that, my friend, is already rarity. We do not talk about dollars, interest, or investments today. We talk about what is priceless. We talk about your time, your life, how you live it, and how easy it is to lose years running after what, in the end, weighs nothing. I lived a long life, not holy, not perfect, but mine. And I tell you, the hardest is not making money. The hardest thing is not to forget why you are alive. Do not get lost in the way. The money comes and goes. I've been hungry counting coins and already signed millions. Do you know what is the irony? The fear of poverty is the same. When you're poor, you fear you have nothing to eat tomorrow. When you are rich, you fear losing everything tomorrow. Money does not bring peace. It opens doors, but peace you find within you. People think, when I get rich, then I will start living. Try the opposite. Start living now and maybe, then, you get rich. Not the opposite. Because when you really live, when you are present, conscious, do not waste time. You invest in it, and it returns. Not always in cash, but always in meaning. Once, in Israel, he expected a bus. Beside me, a gentleman of almost 90 years, with cane, hat, and white beard. I asked, "How is life?" He smiled and replied, Baruch Hashem, as I breathe, I live. And living means I can love, I can teach, I can thank you. Imagine, he didn't say more or less. Retirement is bad. The spine hurts. He said love, teach, thank. Isn't that wealthy? Don't know how old you are, 20, 30, 50. But if you want an old Jewish advice on how to live, I just say, don't leave your soul later. Everything else can wait. The soul, no. These watches my father gave me Swiss, mechanical, true. They worked for 40 years until they stopped. I wanted to fix them, but I'd understood, no, may they be like this, to remind me that everything, one day, too, and the time too. While he runs, we need to live. Not only exists, not only surviving, but living with conscience, with purpose. Soul. I lived enough to understand. Your life is what you pay attention to, not what is written in your plans, but where your heart is. If your attention lies on mobile, reports, problems, then that's where you are living. But if you can be here and now, then you are alive. Life is not after. Life is now. A breath, a sip of tea, a call to a friend, a child's smile, the smell of hot bread. Simply being. It's not rhetoric, it's reality. And if you understand that, you are already rich today. As Perke says, Avat, the teachings of parents. Who is wise? He who learns with everyone. Who is rich? He who is content with what he has. Who is honored? He who honors others. Do not run after mirages, run after meaning. Work, but don't forget to rest. Win, but don't sell. Make career, but don't miss your family. And remember, no one in old age regrets working little. Everyone regrets having lived little. If something I said today resonated with you, subscribe to this channel, not out of obligation, but because we are the same mass of those who seek not only like living, but we. Here we don't talk about hype or fads, we talk about the essentials. And if it makes sense to you, this is your place. Subscribe, not to forget, not to get lost, so that, at least once a week, someone reminds you you are alive, you have time, and you can live it in a beautiful, human, authentic way. In the next video, we'll talk about this, how not to be afraid of starting from scratch, even if you're no longer 20, even if everything has collapsed. Because, as my friend Laser says, as long as you are not under the earth, you can flourish. Take care, my good, and don't spend your time in vain. He is his only capital that cannot be gained back. Just preserve. Shalom. See you soon.